Hello everyone, I hope you all are top of the world. So today in this video I am going to tell you the degrees of adjective or the degrees of comparison. So today I am gonna teach you the degree of adjective or the degree of comparison. So first of all, before starting this topic, let me discuss about the adjective. What are the adjective? Adjective are the words which describe nouns. Okay, so like when we are talking about whiteboard, so white is the example of adjective and board is the example of noun. So white word is describing this board color, so that's why white is the example of adjective and board is the example of noun. You can say black marker, so the black is the color of this marker, so it is just adding some information about the marker, and marker is the example of noun. Here if we want to talk about some more examples like thin boy, thick boy, tall girl. Okay, like tall is the example of adjective and girl is the example of noun. So here we have all the adjectives, means we have here adjectives, and we are going to just doing the comparison. We are just going to study about the degrees of comparison. So here we have three kinds of degree. First of all, how many kinds of degrees do we have? We have three kinds of degree. So the first one is called positive degree. The second one is called comparative degree. And the third one is called superlative degree. Superlative degree. So these three kinds of degrees we are having. The first one, positive degree, you see all these are the adjectives and these adjectives are the example of positive degree. Like tall is the example of positive degree, fast positive degree, brave positive degree, deep positive degree. All these are the example of positive degree. So all the adjectives are the positive ones, positive degrees. Okay, now let us see the next one, comparative degree. For making the comparative degree we need to add er. What we need to add? Er. And for making the superlative we need to use est in the positive degree, in the adjective. So here let us take the example of tall. So tall word itself is the example of positive degree, and when we add er in the tall, then what will be the new word? Taller will be the new word. So taller is the example of comparative degree, and the next est means tallest is the example of superlative degree. So these three things, three degrees we have read today: positive, comparative, superlative. And why we do use them? We use them for doing the comparison. If we want to do the comparison, then there we need to use these degrees. These are really important. So let me give you one example how we can compare. So here you can say, if we have one boy, suppose the boy name is Rohan. Here we have one more boy, and this boy name is Mohan, and one more boy we are having. This boy name is Sohan. Okay, so you can see here, you can say Rohan is a tall boy. So you can say, if you are just making the sentence, you can write Rohan is tall. Here we are using positive degree, tall. If we want to compare between Rohan and Mohan, then if we want to do the comparison between two persons, then there we use comparative degree. So we can say Mohan is taller than Rohan. Mohan is taller than Rohan. So here taller is the example of comparative. You can see here taller. The next one, here you can see the Sohan. Sohan is the supreme, like nobody is out of these two like Sohan. So you can say Sohan is the tallest of all. Sohan is the tallest of all. Okay, so here tallest is the example of superlative degree. Okay, so before, one more thing which you need to keep in mind, that when you are using the superlative degree, before that you need to add the also. It is mandatory for every superlative degree. Before every superlative degree you need to use there the also. Now let's see the next one. Next example is also there for us. What is the next example? Fast. Next example is fast. So fast itself is the positive degree. Faster is the example of comparative degree, and fastest is the example of superlative degree. Okay, so let us make the example. Let us take some example. You can say dog is fast animal, or you can say dog is fast. And if you are comparing dog and horse, then you can say horse is faster than dog. Horse is faster than dog. So here we are using comparative degree, means we are doing the comparison between two animals. And if I say cheetah is the fastest of all. Cheetah is the fastest of all. Okay, so fastest, it is the example of superlative degree, and before fastest, before superlative degree, we are adding the also. Okay, you need to add the also before superlative degree. Now let us see the next example. Some more examples we are going to see, which are being written on our board. Let's see the next example. Deep. Deep is also there. So deep, for adding comparative degree, for making comparative degree, we need to use er. So deep, deeper, and est, deepest, you can say superlative. Okay, for making the example for deep, you can say pond is deep. Pond is deep. If you are comparing between pond and well, so you can say well is deeper than pond. Well is deeper than pond. And if we say ocean is the deepest of all. So ocean is the deepest of all, means ocean is the deepest of all. So deepest is the example of superlative degree, and before superlative degree we are adding the also. Now let's take some more example. Here we have some more example like brave. This one we have already taken. Here we have brave. So brave, you see in brave we have, what is the last letter which we are having in this word? E. E is the last letter, and when we are making the comparative degree, what we are adding? Er we are adding, but here E is already available in the word, so we are not adding one more E. Okay, that E will be counted as this E. Okay, so we will add here only R for making the comparative. Okay, and for making superlative, here we were adding est. So here what we will add in brave, we will add only st. Is it clear? So the first word, the positive degree is brave, and the superlative degree of brave is braver, and the comparative degree of brave is braver, and the superlative degree of brave is bravest. Okay, so you see here we are adding only R here, only one R, one single R we are adding here, and here we are adding only ST. We are not using EST because E is already available in the word. So now you can just make the examples like Rohan is brave student in the class, or you can say Sohan is braver than Rohan, or you can say Ram is the bravest students in the class. Like that you can give the example of brave also. Now let us take some more examples in the same way, like easy. So here easy is the example of positive degree. The next is comparative degree. For making the comparative degree, we need to use ER or R, but here we are not going to use ER or R. What we are going to do, when we are having I at the end of the word, then we have to replace this word, we have to replace this Y with the I. So EASI means I have replaced this Y with I, and after that I am just using ER. Okay, this ER I am using easier. So the comparative degree of easy is easier, and the superlative degree of easy is easiest. Here also I did the same thing. I replaced Y with I, and after that EST I have added. So now you can just take the example for that. Like if I am writing 3 question like 15 minus 3 plus 12. So this is very simple question, you can get the answer. If I write the second number question 15 minus 12, what is the answer? You know very well. And if the third one is 6 minus 5, it is single digit subtraction, so it is also very easy, you can easily find the answer. So how we can make the example for this word easy? You can say the question 1 is easy. You can say question 1 is easy. This is the first example. If we are just making the comparison between question number 1 and 2, then you can say question number 2 is easier than question number 1. Question number 2 is easier than question number 2, and this is the example of comparative degree. And if we say question number 3 is the easiest of all, question number 3 is the easiest of all, so here this is the example of superlative degree. Okay, children, I have taken so many examples, so the video may be somewhat long, so I'm very sorry for that. Now let's see the next example, like juicy. So for juicy, what we have to do, juicy itself is the positive degree, juicier is the comparative degree, and juiciest is the superlative degree. Okay, here what we have done, we have replaced Y with I, you see, and after that, see, juicier, this one is like this, JUICIER, juicier, and after that we have here done what we have done, we have here also we have done the same thing, we have added instead of Y, and after that EST we have added, okay, for making the superlative. So now let us take the example. You can say apple is juicy, apple is juicy, this is the example of positive degree. Now you can say orange is juicier than apple. So this is the example of comparative degree. Now let us see the example of superlative degree. Sugar cane is the juiciest of all. You see here, sugar cane is the juiciest of all. So this is the example of superlative degree. This is positive, comparative and superlative. Juicy, juicier and juiciest. Now let's take the example of delicious. Now for making the comparative degree and superlative degree for delicious, the rule is different, because delicious, when we speak the word delicious, it has 3 syllables. Delicious, delicious means 3. If we break this word into parts, then 3 parts will be there. Delicious. So here we have how many syllables? Here we have 3 syllables. 3 syllables we have in this word delicious. Now you might be thinking, sir, what are the syllables? So don't get confused. Syllable means a word or a part of a word which has one vowel sound. It is called syllable. It is called syllable. So here delicious, 3 syllables we are having. Okay. In the same way, in you see difficult, difficult. Here also in difficult also we have 3 syllables. So when we are having 2 or more than 2 syllables in any adjective, then there we need to use, for making the comparative and superlative degree, if we are having more than 2 or 3 syllables, then there what we need to use? There we need to use more for comparative and most for superlative. So here you can say delicious is the example of positive, more delicious is the example of comparative, and most delicious is the example of superlative degree. Okay, so you can say chapati is delicious, and if you are comparing chapati and paratha, then you can say paratha is more delicious than chapati. So you can say paratha is more delicious than chapati. And if we talk about halwa, then you can say halwa is the most delicious of all. So like that you can make the sentences. After that we have difficult. So for difficult also you can make the examples, like you can say running is difficult, or you can say jumping is difficult. But if you want to say, if you are just comparing jumping and skipping, then you can say skipping is more difficult than jumping. And if you say climbing up the mountain is the most difficult, climbing up the mountain is the most difficult, like that you can take the examples. Okay, so now let me write the example for that also. Difficult, for delicious, I think you might have heard and you have understood, so I'm not writing the example for delicious, I'm writing the example for difficult. So you can say jumping is difficult, jumping is difficult. And if you are comparing jumping and skipping, then you can say skipping is more difficult than jumping. Skipping is more difficult than jumping. And the last example for superlative degree, you can say, you can write climbing up the mountain is the most difficult of all. Okay, so like that you can write the examples. So here difficult is the positive degree, more difficult is the comparative degree. We are just comparing two activities, skipping and jumping. And after that superlative degree, here you can see most difficult is the example of superlative degree, the most difficult. So you can say climbing the mountain is the most difficult of all. Now we have learned three ways for making the degrees for comparative degree or for superlative degree. The first one is simply by adding er or est, and the second one we need to add simply r or st, and the third one is we have to replace y with the I, and then we need to add er or est after replacing y with the I. And the next thing which we have learned, that we have to add before the adjective more for comparative and most for superlative. And now let us see the some exceptional examples are also there. So we need to see them, like good. So in good we don't need to use, we should not use er or r or est or st. Okay, we cannot use all these. What we have to do, their forms are totally different. Their like positive form of good is good, and what is the comparative form of good? It is better, and superlative form of good is best. In the same way for bad is the positive degree, and worse is the comparative degree, and worst is the superlative degree. Okay, so let us take the example of this also, so you can understand it in a perfect manner, in a perfect way. So you can say lying is bad. So when you are telling lie someone, it is bad thing, you should not tell lie. And if we are pushing someone, pushing is worse. You see here we are comparing pushing and lying both. Okay, so pushing is worse than lying. So if you are pushing someone, then it is worse than lying. Telling lying is also bad thing, but pushing is worse than lying. And if you are hitting someone, if you are beating someone, beating with a stick, beating with a stick is the worst of all. So here worst, it is example of superlative. Okay, and before the worst we are using the also, because before every superlative degree we use the. So beating with a stick is the worst of all. Okay, worst thing, it is a worst thing, it is a worst habit. Okay, it is a worst habit. So that's all for today, children. I hope you all have understood this topic very well, and whatever examples will come in your exam or in your real life, in a better way you will solve all those examples related with the degree of comparison. That's all for today. Bye bye, have a nice day.